¿Se puede o no? Okay, yeah, I just recorded to the computer then. Um, so yeah, this is Tony Escobedo, aka Tony Pockets. I'm here with Carlos Amezcua and agent or broker. Are you a broker or
Agent,
just agent?
just
Okay.
an agent. Yeah.
And a DJ as well. And from Los Angeles, from the San Fernando Valley.
Yes.
Yeah, San Fernando, LA. Which part of San Fernando Valley?
I am in Northridge.
Ah, in Northridge. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
That's a good spot right there. That's where my family member went to aunt went to Cal State Northridge and graduated.
Yeah.
I think my cousins went there too. And we're not that close. But anyways, the but uh but that's great, man. And I was just saying how, I'm from San Diego, currently outside of Mexico City. Not loving it too much. I can't wait to get back to San Diego. Just here for health reasons, getting better.
Hmm.
And I was living in Little Italy.
Hmm.
Where are you at right now in San Diego?
Escondido.
Ah, Escondido. Yeah, see, that's why it's kind
Hmm.
of sunny out there.
Yeah.
Mm. Oh, Chris is there, by the way, at Swinton right now. My
Oh,
partner.
okay.
I think it's your partner's probably going to meet him there, huh?
Yeah, he should be there anytime.
Oh, okay, cool.
Hmm.
Um, Here, let me just let him know then, I guess. Just text him here. Oh, cool, cool, cool. Cool. Carlo, do 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 do. Dang it. What's your partner's name again?
Danny?
Oh, okay, Danny. Okay, cool. Yeah, speaking of which, sorry folks, this is real time. My partner Chris is going to look at a pocket listing fixer over in I forget where it is now, but in what city that's in. Uh it's in the valley, right? I think.
North Hills.
Oh, in North Hills. Okay.
Hmm.
Yes. He's there right now to go see the property so we can get it locked up. And like I said, Tony Escobedo, aka Tony Pockets. All you agents, send us your pocket listings. We'd love to buy them. And I've been doing this 16 years. I might have mentioned to you, Carlos.
Hmm.
Um, and I love San Diego to get back to what we're talking about. I love San Diego. I love Escondido too. I love it there because it's inland, so it's pretty much always warm.
Hmm.
It's always sunny and warm usually, like most of the year, like 300 and I don't know. It's like 300 days a year. It's like sunny and more or
Yeah.
less. And where I grew up was in the San Gabriel Valley, SGV. I grew
Oh.
up all over SGV, SA. I grew up it's so funny. I lived with the white boys in Arcadia, even though I'm
Hmm.
a whitey, but I'm from a Mexican dad, American mom.
Hmm.
And I'm brown on the inside, baby. And I
Yeah.
just grew up with Latinos, you know? I mean,
Hmm.
I was like the only whitey. And they always called me güero. And so I actually I mean pretty much everywhere we lived was usually Latinos. Um um and white. It was mixed in this was back in the 70s because I'm almost 60, I'm 59. And this was it was man, it was such a different time. And how old are you?
I am 36.
Oh man, yeah, I'm almost half your age. And so I love it, dude. I love it. But I love being this age because I remember pre-internet. I remember like it was a different world, man. It was
Hmm.
slower, and I grew up with it was mixed with white and Latino,
Hmm.
actually. But it was like slightly more Latino. And but still it was like, I had neighbors, I had güerito neighbors, güerita that loved me and wanted to marry me at 9 years old. Jill, I'll never forget. I didn't want to get even back then. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna get married. And I'm like, um, but I'm married now. I've been married 20 years. But uh, and so I grew Rosemead, La Puente, Puente Homes, San
Mhm.
Gabriel, El Monte, Arcadia. Then I went to the Güeros over there, and that was a good experience.
Mhm.
And yeah, so lived all over, San Diego, I love, been there 30 years. Love San Diego. Downtown, I've lived downtown uh for 25 years, downtown San
Okay.
Diego. Yeah. But tell me about your so tell me you're saying how you're DJing for this band, this up and coming group, and that you're managing for them, I mean.
Yes.
You manage them, right? And what kind of
Yeah.
music do they sing?
So they sing bachata as well.
Ah, they have
Yeah,
bachata,
and
yeah.
they have quite a few songs out. But they've been busy with traveling with this other artist too that, finally like this year they're kind of making time to make even more music. So,
That's awesome.
mhm,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
they're one of the kindest people I've ever met. But
Wow.
the way I met them is because I was making back then I was producing music. I was making remixes.
Ah,
So I was making remixes so bachata remixes. Back in the day, that was becoming really popular. Now, like this year, like last year and this year, it kind of is not happening. They're more doing covers now, like covers for songs
uh,
rather than
uh-huh.
doing remixes. So
Mhm,
I contacted them through another artist that I know too, that also was doing my guitars, my my bass line and my segunda. So this guy's like, hey, I got a guy that will really, spice up your content, your remixes. And I was like, all right, cool. So I met him. His name is Joel. And then through Joel, I met Danny, which are the two, which they're called Joey and Danny.
mhm,
Those are the artist names, and they've been really really cool, and we created kind of like a brotherhood between us. That anytime either I'm in Jersey because they're from Jersey, anytime I'm in Jersey or New York, they'll be like, "Hey, let's meet up. I'll pick you up from the airport or things like that." Same thing over here. I even got them a gig out here in LA, and I picked them up, showed them around LA, and they have fun. So but they're really cool guys that not a lot of people say like, oh, artists are really like stubborn or bad or just don't. They just because they're artists, they can do whatever they want.
yeah,
But nah, they're completely different. They're very humble people.
nice. Nice. Yeah, I mean there's probably it's like a little bit of everything, right? You have,
Hmm.
you have nice ones, you have not so nice ones, and you have yeah, like it's different variety.
Yeah.
And are you from where are you from originally? I didn't ask you.
So I was born in Pacoima
Ah,
in the San Fernando Valley, born and raised there. And then from there we moved to North Hills. And then
ah,
from North Hills, we moved to North Hollywood, and then from North Hollywood to Northridge.
okay.
Yeah.
I said, I said that in the beginning, which we weren't recording at the very beginning. We should have been, but I said that how Lancaster sucked. I said that because that's not far from Pacoima, right? And
Hmm. Yeah.
I guess it's a little bit, right?
Yeah,
Well,
it's a little bit,
it's a little bit of
not
ways.
a little bit. I'll say the closest to like considered to the valley would be like Porter Ranch.
Uh,
Yeah, or
yeah.
yeah, somewhere like Porter Ranch, a little bit more further up towards like the further up of Northridge,
Mm,
will be more like accessible to Lancaster, Palmdale. Um,
mm,
yeah, but you wouldn't consider Santa Clarita the valley because that's a little bit ways up. So I'll say
mm.
Pacoima, Santa Clarita, and then Palmdale, Lancaster.
Santa Clarita is where Magic Mountain is, isn't it?
Where what?
Isn't that where Magic Mountain is?
Yes.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Santa
It's
Clarita,
close
right?
by. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I was saying that it sucked over there in Lancaster because I meant like where I was saying I'm in outside of Mexico City and that it's kind of like the same distance from Lancaster to downtown LA, like from here to downtown Mexico City.
Oh,
And
damn.
it sucks there too, like in Lancaster. And but I knew people that lived in Pacoima. The other one that got away when I was a little older, my childhood friend, Yesenia, Yesenia Rodriguez. Boy, I was such an idiot back then. She was so gorgeous, and she was flirting with me and wrestling with me, and I'm like, stop, leave me alone. And I look like a moron at 12 years old, 13. Never forget, she was so beautiful.
Hmm.
And I don't know whatever happened to her. But I think, as a guy, I don't know about you other guys, but I think about that sometimes. I think about the ones that got
Hmm.
away, and I'm like, oh my Lord, how stupid I was. It's
Yeah.
I was such a moron, and it took me forever to realize when women liked me, And
Hmm.
just later on, I'm like, God, she really liked me, that chick. I didn't even realize it. But anyways, I've
Yeah.
been married 20 years, so two
But
daughters.
we learn from those occasions.
We do, yes, we do. And my Lord. But uh yeah, and folks, we're talking, you know, we're both in real estate. Carlos is an agent. I am a buyer, and Tony, aka Tony Pockets. And we do this, been doing this for a while. I've been doing this 16 years. Well, 20, I guess. I did mortgages for 3 years. I was an
Okay.
unlicensed loan officer back when you could be, back before the
Mm.
crash.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah, yeah, doing my loans. And it wasn't my niche. It could have been my
Hmm.
niche, but I just never really got, it just never really clicked,
Hmm.
for me. But I did, I did some loans, a handful of loans, and you know, several dozen loans or whatever. But I starved as a loan officer. And
Yeah.
so then I got into yeah, from there I went to franchise sales. I did it, killed it there. And then from there it gave me confidence to be an investor, for the past
Yeah.
16 years. But how did you get it? How did you get into agency? How did you like how did that go?
How did I go? So before anything, I was a, I'll say a coach for an after school program. It's called LA's
Ah,
Best. From there, I got my degree as a paralegal. So I have my associates
ah,
in paralegal studies.
really?
And then from there, I moved on to a ticket company where they basically service people that get tickets, DUIs, but mostly service truckers so they can get their points off because once they have points, they can't drive for at least a couple years.
Hey, I was trying
So
to
they
ask you
basically lose their job.
oh, okay. And I don't mean to interrupt, but Chris just asked, what is Danny's ETA? I guess he's still there at the
Ah, oh no, yeah, Danny just told me that he'll be there soon. I know, I just
Okay.
saw it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
All right. You can hang tight.
yeah. And so yeah, so went did that. It was like when COVID started kind of like opening up, is when I went to go do that work. And then I moved into to do paralegal work at a law firm for an immigration law firm.
Oh,
Yeah, did that. Um, but during COVID, I was DJing on live streaming DJing for people for this dancing, the bachata salsa dancing, and I had quite a few. We, made some money through there, but
nice.
yeah, and there was this one supporter that became a friend now. I was talking to them because we always have a session where we play, and then later we have like a separate session room where we all talk about each other and say, "Oh, how you're doing?" Just checking on each other because COVID. I mean, you can't really face to face talk to people. So we had
Hmm.
a session where we all will talk about how we're doing mentally, physically, just to checking on each other. Made it a
Hmm.
point to do that. And so I was like, oh yeah, like I always wanted to be in real estate and then do this. And then one of them said, hey, let's talk a little bit offline, and because I'm taking real estate classes, I'm already 3 months in. I'm like, oh, interesting. Like I always wanted to know how that worked.
Mm.
So she, I started taking classes, online classes, because everything was online. But
Yeah.
once I got the job in as a as an immigration, because that was my dream job. I was like,
Oh
I
yeah.
want to be in immigration. Like I want to help out people.
Interesting.
Uh, yeah, and so I took classes and then I stopped because I got that immigration because I wanted to focus on it.
Yeah.
But they gave me like a 90-day, they said 90-day period, which is everybody gets it, right? You get a 90-day period. I was like, all right, cool, that's fine. I had like over 200 cases to work with,
Yeah.
200 cases. And they were like, here, make sure you get all this stuff done. And some people will yell at you on the phone, but I will bring them in and be like, hey, this is how the process works. Um, and look at all these cases that I have. I can even show you. You're right here, and but I'm over here. So, and they always tell me like, hey, what's the time frame? I'm like, well, I can't give you a time frame because if I tell you that I'm gonna do it tomorrow, you're gonna call me the next day and you say, uh, where's my stuff? So I don't like giving you
Mm-hmm.
that, but I will give you a call once I have your file in front of me and I'm doing it as we speak. And they understood it because it's a long process.
Yes,
We
it
have to get it
is.
approved by the lawyer. And we can't just send anything in. The lawyer has to sign off. And like I said, 200 cases, 90
Yeah.
days reached. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm about to get my benefits, everything. And I told the people that are staff that I was working with, because we were all in a little room
Yeah.
doing our work. And then they're like, and there was like two girls there that got hired before, like after me. And they're like, well, I got my benefits like the first week. And they were like, I got my benefits the next day. And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, yeah, you should have, didn't you get from HR like a packet of benefits? I'm like, no. And they got the same 90-day treatment still, but I never got my benefits. And then literally the day of that 90-day, they call me to HR and they give me my final check. And they're like, thank you for your service. Goodbye.
They didn't give you
Yeah,
a reason?
they just said I wasn't a fit.
You weren't a fit. Oh
I
my.
was not a fit. And then I was just from there, I could have fought it and say, hey, this is unfair. I have people that can back it up, but I was just like, you know what? I'm done with corporate. I've
Yeah.
been doing my corporate for all my life. I went back to studying for the exam and finish all my classes, took all my tests that I needed to take to get my certificates. Um, and lo and behold, everything went well. I was traveling too as well, DJing. I was
Mm.
going to San Francisco a lot, Arizona, doing San Diego, and then my first year, once I passed my exam, this was like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I actually had a chance to go visit my brother in Germany because he works out there as a tech in the armed forces.
Uh-huh.
So he is lives out there in Germany. He was actually in Afghanistan
Mm-hmm.
working there as a tech, and then he went to Dubai, and then from Dubai he moved to Germany. So I went over there, and actually they hired me to go DJ out there too in Germany.
Mm.
So yeah, and yeah, and then you know I I didn't see much production my first year because I was I wanted to learn everything.
Mm-hmm.
But through uh my mentor, she basically said, "You're so close, you're so close, you're so close." And then came my first deal, which was a listing, and then
Nice.
working. So I got the listing, and then I worked with a for FISBO, or for sale by owner. For not a lot of people know what FISBO is,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, for sale by owner, it
Right.
was one of the most, I will say, and it's like my first ever transaction. It was one of the most crazy transactions.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, how did
but
you? How did you so you called on the FISBO and talked to the
Yeah,
owner and convinced him to
yeah,
list with you?
yeah. Well, she no, she basically did not list with me, but she gave me a 2% commission
Really?
to
Oh,
to
'cause
get
you brought
bring
her a
her a
buyer.
buyer. Yeah,
Ah,
and she's the type that, you know, she doesn't like realtors at all
yeah,
because she had a bad experience
yeah,
with one. But with me, I left her a message. I basically didn't use a script at all. No script,
yeah,
nothing. I was just my authentic self. And she
yeah. It's always better.
recognized that. Yeah, she recognized that and she's like, this is why I called you because you didn't sound like a realtor that's just using a script that's right in front of them.
Yeah.
And she's like, I like you. Let's get something done. Brought her like two buyers before I brought my actual buyer that I listed his house in Palmdale. It was a nice house. And yeah, he basically got it done, but it took us about like almost 3.5 months to get that deal done because it
Oh,
was just
wow.
like it was crazy. It was one of the
Really?
craziest ones. Yeah, and a lot of realtors that been in the game for like 15 years, they're like, that's literally what you went through is an equivalent of 5 years of in real estate. And I was
Why? What
like,
happened?
wow.
Why was it was a 3 month escrow then?
Yeah, it was almost like a 3 month escrow. Basically, so my seller, my buyer, which is also a seller, he needed to sell his house in order for him
Oh,
to buy that house. And she was okay with it. She's like, that's fine.
okay.
And then I just updated her every day and be like, oh yeah, they removed this. But then the buyer that wanted to buy his house backed out because they listed like probably like 40 to 50 things that they wanted fixed. And there were
Uh,
the smallest things, like put a cap on the enchufe. Like really, like you're gonna ask for repair to put a cap in each enchufe. There were like probably like five, and then he
you,
needed to
you mean
trim
the buyer for your buyer's house?
the buyer for my seller's house.
Oh,
So
oh, oh, that
mhm.
your buyer then was asking for all these 50 different things?
No, not my buyer, the other agent's buyer. So I was representing the
Uh-huh.
seller, and then an agent brought the buyer for the Palmdale listing that I
Okay,
had.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was acting like the whole 9 yards to fix that house. I'm like, dude, if your buyer wants a brand new house, take him to new construction
I know,
because
exactly.
and it was and we were just like going back and forth and out and we were just off by like $2,000,
Oh,
right?
wow.
So me and my lead basically said, hey, we'll put up 500 each, 1,000 basically, and then we told the other agent, hey, you put the other 1,000, and then we're good. And he basically didn't want to do that. The person that we were talking to and arguing back and forth with was with the loan officer,
Gee, Louise.
and the agent was just sitting in the back. It was on a phone call. He was just sitting back and not saying anything. And basically, and we were like, hey, what do you think? And he was like, well, I'm trying to do the best for my client and save as much. I'm like, dude, we're literally you just need to come in with $1,000 and you're basically half the deal.
And
We're
what was he
closed.
making on the deal? What was he going to make, the
Uh,
commission,
he was gonna make 2%,
which is how
uh,
much?
which is I think it was out of 620, I believe.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
12 grand?
12 grand.
He's still going to make 11,000 and that's not good enough.
Mhm.
How
No, that's not
ridiculous.
good enough,
People
really. So yeah,
walking
we
over
canceled.
pennies or walking over dollar, $20 bills to pick up pennies.
Exactly. And we
Stupid.
just, yeah, we literally just said, all right, we're gonna cancel.
Oh my
There's no
God.
reason. So from there, so that was like a waste of a month already. Uh,
Yeah.
and then we just, with the loan officer that we have for my client that's buying the FISBO, he basically said, hey, you have the money to buy it without the contingent of you selling. So we work on that, and that took a little bit more because he needed to get money from his because he's a contractor, private contractor,
Yeah. Okay.
and so he needed to get all that money, and he basically got it, but it took 3 months, and the FISBO wanted to cancel and do all this stuff and was yelling at me and saying some bad words, but then she eventually calmed down and say, "I'm so sorry for acting like a B word." And yeah, and then,
Just say
you
it,
know,
bitch.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then she's like, "I'm so sorry." And I'm like, "It's totally fine. I understand. This is a business deal, right? This is not a friendship. This is a business deal. And, I understand this is an asset of yours.
Sure, of
Like,
course. Yeah.
it's an
Yeah.
emotional roller coaster, is what we say,
Mm,
right? In the business, it's an emotional roller coaster, no matter who you are.
people's homes, man.
Yeah,
Residential is emotional. I mean,
yeah,
commercial can be emotional too when you're with
hmm
big checks on the line, you know.
yeah,
But it's not as emotional though. But yeah, uh, but yeah. So that's okay. So then it finally got
yeah. So finally got, uh, because I live
cleared.
probably like 8 minutes away from her house. Sometimes I had to take, like, I had to act like a listing agent. I had to take
Yeah,
some of the paperwork for her to sign wet signature. And
interesting.
so I did that. Not a lot of agents would do that to get the deal done because they're like, well, I'm not getting paid like a listing agent, so I'm not going to do that. So
Hmm.
I literally printed everything out that she needed to sign, went to her, signed everything, and, you know, there we go. But it took about 3 months. She moved to
Nice.
Washington,
Really?
upstate, and then she's like, I don't like it here. Well, she moved with her son, and she's like, I don't like it here. I'm ready to move back.
Oh my
And she's
goodness.
like, I'm gonna use you as my realtor. So
That's
even though
fantastic.
she, even though she didn't like realtors, even her son too, doesn't like realtors. Even he has a real estate license, but he doesn't use it anymore. But yeah, and they were like, yeah, you're the only realtor that I trust, and you're very genuine. So I that's what I try to do. Try to be
Yeah.
genuine because during when you mentioned the crash, my parents basically lost a lot of money. They lost their home in 2008,
Sorry to hear that.
and it was a new construction.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, and then from there, I was just like,
Sucks.
you know what? I'm not gonna be that type of agent that's gonna ask them to put even more money towards something that doesn't need to be, or
Yeah.
just in general for them to feel comfortable and not push a home towards them. you know.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and that's who I surround myself. My team is like that. They're not pushy people. Like Danny, same thing happened to him. His parents lost their home in the crash in 2008. And
Mm.
I trained him to be, not pushy, not to have commission breath because we heard it so much from other realtors that we're like,
Hmm.
wow.
Excuse me.
And he actually took a a client that the other realtor had commission breath, and he met them at the open house, and literally within a month to a month and a half, found him a home and got a deal done with them.
With who?
With a client that realtor basically, there was another they were working with another realtor, but he was doing an open house,
Mm.
that I because I was over here in San Diego, so he had to do the open house by himself. And he basically the person actually came back to the house and, to check out the house because they were like, I think this is going to be the house that we're going to do.
Mm.
And so after talking to them and, doing everything that I taught him, but also he learned also himself too. He basically got that client because he wasn't pushy. He was just like, hey, let me bring value to you. Let me see what I can
Yeah,
do for
yeah.
you and everything. And literally within like a month to a month and a half, he found him a home and closed on the deal.
He sounds like a good agent. And how did you meet him? Danny, your partner,
So
right?
yeah, so basically we were in the same brokerage. He literally got his license last year around February or March, I believe.
Mm.
Um,
Barely, huh?
and yeah, barely. And
Nice.
I met him because he was in the same office where I was with my team lead during that time in EXP. before we made the change to real brokerage and the Rice Group. And
Mm.
basically, I met him. We hung out, everything. We did open houses together. And during that time, there was another agent that was his friend and also a good friend of mine too. He was gonna mentor him when we made the switch to real brokerage and the Rice Group,
Mm-hmm.
and he decided to leave to another brokerage, and he stayed, and I stayed, and another friend of mine also one of my other business partners, he stayed there too. And then he basically said, "Hey, this guy left. You think you can mentor me?" And I was like, "Sure." And I already had like 3 deals under my belt, but there were like 2 deals were kind of like took long and craziness happened that I learned a lot. I mean, I'm still learning as we go. Like
Yeah,
I'm not,
yeah.
even though 3 years have gone by, going to be 3 years in August, September, sorry, in September. But I'm still learning, still, I'm not saying like, oh, I'm the best agent in the whole world, but I try to be, but I also try to learn every day because every day is a new day to learn.
Baptism of fire, my friend. That's good.
Hmm.
That gives you I can tell you're a serious person, which is awesome. I think analytical, right? You're like an analytical person, like kind of
Yeah.
a behind the scenes, you
Hmm.
manage,
Hmm.
the a band, and you said that you were doing paralegal work,
Hmm.
which is behind the scenes work, which is the back office work, you know.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, agency is both, back office and
Yeah.
and customer service, right? Like sales.
Hmm.
So, uh, when you marry the two, I think that really works for you because you're genuine. When you're genuine, like you're saying, you're real. Like I'm just myself too. I've learned at my age, I used to try to be somebody else
Hmm.
before, years ago. And now exactly I'm just myself and it works better that way because it's authentic. Yeah, people they sense it, they see it, feel it, and they want to do business with you or they'll like you. Or maybe they won't like you. Maybe it's not a good fit, and then it propels them away, and that's fine too. We want to just be connections with people that we're supposed to have and meet.
Hmm.
It's not everybody. It won't be with everybody, but maybe almost everybody, right? But
Yeah.
sometimes there's people that it just they need to they're just a certain kind of a person but I see that about you. I think I intuit that, I think, anyways. I think you
Hmm.
seem like a studious, serious person that ponders a lot. Am I right?
Yeah. I try to be as most genuine. Like I'll tell you this. I had a client. I always tell him, if you guys want my opinion, I will tell you my opinion, and I'll
Mhm.
be honest, like brutally honest.
Yeah,
I had a
good.
client. I had a client. He walked in. They liked the house. They're like, "Oh my God, this is a really nice house." And then I didn't know the wife loved it. Like literally, if I didn't say anything, they were gonna put an offer.
Mm,
But this is what I did. And he tells me, it's like, "Hey Carlos, I know you told me to basically tell you what you think about the house. So I want to see what you think about the house." So every time I walk into a house, I look at the walls, and especially the roof,
mm,
including in the bathroom,
mm,
because there can be mold, things like that people just don't look at it. They just look at the bathroom and go, "Oh, this is nice." They look at
mm,
the floor. "Oh, okay, nice flooring. Okay, move on." They
mm,
don't they don't look at the little things. So I was looking around. It's like, well, to tell the truth, if you come into this bathroom, there's mold up there.
mm,
There is a big crack on the
mm,
ceiling. And they're like, "Oh wow, we didn't see that." Oh, and I pointed a bunch of things. And I'm like, I don't know if this house is worth what they're asking for, because if you come and check outside, I checked the roof,
mm,
and through there was this general inspector that I used to use, and he was diverse. He knew about electrician. He was an electrician, a roofer. He was all jack trades because he used to build towers in downtown LA.
Hmm.
So big buildings. And so he tell me like, hey, look, I've been doing this so much that I can tell when basically a roof needs to be changed. And so I went it's like, look, there's a lot of things here. It's already changing color. It's getting a dark color, and you basically need to be going to be changing this roof probably within 5 year or 2 years, between 2 to 5 years.
Mm.
You're gonna have to change this roof. And
It's
so,
pricey
and he
too.
was, yeah, and and he was like, oh wow, okay, cool, thank you, Carlos. We're gonna go talk about it, and then we'll go, and then we'll let you know if we're gonna put an offer or not. I was like, okay, no problem.
Yeah,
But I told him like maybe we can ask for some credits with all this, and he goes, okay, cool. He calls me the next day and he's like, hey, Carlos, we want to continue looking for homes. We really appreciate your complete honesty about the home. And to tell you the truth, my wife really liked it. She didn't even want her to come and see it at all.
really.
And yeah, she's like, I like the photos, I like everything. She didn't even want to come, but I told her like, hey, let's just go, let's just see it, because Carlos says it's better to go see it than to see it in pictures, because it
Hmm.
can tell you a different story.
Oh
And
yeah.
so yeah, and we
Oh yeah.
went, and then he tells us like she was ready to put an offer until I told her what you said, because she was already, I think she was already like outside looking at the backyard, thinking what she was gonna do to the backyard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, and she's
Falling in
like,
love with it.
yeah. And then yeah,
Yeah.
after I told her that, she was like, oh wow, I did not know it needed that much work. And
Right.
so, but we did ended up finding a home for them that was a lot better. Got them a bunch of credits back. But yeah, for me, it's just I even tell him it's like,
Nice.
look at the home, look at the smallest thing that you can see, because that's gonna go a long way, and people are gonna trust you more if
Yeah.
you're genuine, and they're gonna know. They're gonna know if you're genuine or not. You know, to be honest, Danny he was really he used to work with the DMV too, DMV during probably like before he became an agent, and he used to do
Mm.
roofing too.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Great
mhm.
background.
Yeah, so he taught me a lot more than the other guy told me about roofing. So
Interesting.
yeah, and then he was getting a little bit desperate and saying like, "Oh my God, like I don't know what's gonna happen." I'm like, first and foremost, chill, take a
Hmm.
deep breath.
Hmm.
I didn't get my
Hmm.
first deal until 10 months in. He got his first
Yeah.
listing, I would say, within 3 months, 4 months.
That's
He still
fantastic.
he still has it. It's a house of a
Really?
guy, but it needs to be decluttered completely. And his client has had a lot of health issues, so
Ooh.
they can't really declutter it right now. But he's been helping him, so that's good. He recently closed, already has 2 deals closed, and
Oh,
I told
good. Good for him.
yeah, I told him like, hey, just chill, be patient, try not to have commission breath, because they're gonna know
Commission
once you
breath.
have
I've
that.
never heard that one actually in all this time. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. I mean, it's when you hear it when someone's so desperate and they're like, no, but this is a good house, or they're like, even though you're saying no, they're like, but I have this program, I have this, I have that, I have this, and they're like, no, thank you, I'm not ready right now, but I have this, I have that, and it's just like continuing to just push push a product because you're desperate to get this person into contract.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. People, yeah, deal we call it I've heard it be called deal fever as
Mm,
well. And
okay,
yeah,
I'm
where you
familiar.
have deal fever, you want to get a deal and you're trying to make
Hmm.
something work that it's not working, put a round peg in a square hole, a square, try to put it in a square, and it's
Hmm.
just not going to fit. You're right. And people can sense desperation. I was telling my partner that we kind of had a dry spell, because, I was sick. I told you here a
Hmm.
few months ago, right? And this winter was a dry spell for us, pretty
Yeah.
much. I mean, not, I guess. not totally, but it was a bit for me because I just wasn't
Hmm.
really working for a few months, and I couldn't, you know. So kind of
Hmm.
had a dry spell, and and I'm like setting it up now to where it doesn't depend on me, and we're kind of that way now. It just basically runs itself. So
Hmm.
it's practically almost, not quite, but I'm getting there. So in the next few months, it'll be that way. It'll be that way. But we had a dry spell, and I was telling my partner Chris, I was like, dude, I was like, people can smell desperation. That is a real thing where people you want it so bad. Exactly.
Hmm.
And people they can it's in your voice, it's in it affects your tonality, and when you're totally relaxed and you don't give a shit, people realize it's like I
Yeah.
could do this deal or not. I don't give a damn. I got three other deals. I just won't do this one, you know? And
Hmm.
and and you don't, gracias, mami. And you don't lo voy a mover acá. My wife, she just gave me estamos podcasting ahorita, mami, gracias. And this is real. This is real, baby.
Hmm.
Mm. Oh yeah. This is a suero. This is a real suero. For you guys that don't know what that suero is, it's uh, mineral water and it's it's pepino. It's cucumber water
Hmm.
actually, but it's kind of a suero. How do you say suero in English? It's hydrating.
Yeah, it's very hydrating. Yeah.
It's like a hydrating drink, like
Hmm.
IV. Well, they say suero also for IV over here,
Yeah.
so it's kind of like an IV drip, but you drink it.
Hmm.
It can also mean like a drink that hydrates you. There's some words that don't totally translate,
Yeah.
but and I love knowing Spanish, and I love being bilingual, and I love like being in the two worlds in both worlds,
Hmm.
and the Latin and the American Anglo.
Hmm.
Um, but what the hell was I saying? Oh, I was saying about being too desperate,
Yeah.
and it's a real thing. Yeah, it's like you
It
you
is.
gotta, you know, it's like you gotta not, it's like the hungriest, the hungriest one gets it, right? But
Hmm.
at the same time, it's a see this is why many fail, right? That's a great thing you bring up because that's one of the huge things. It's pretty much everything,
Hmm.
almost, not quite, but like confidence. You build up confidence, and people, even if you don't really, understand it all yet, in the beginning, what the hell do you know? You don't know anything. You're just like getting
Hmm.
started. But if you're confident, you're like, I'm confident. I mean, I may not know all the answers, but I'll find out from my broker. And
Yep.
I was the same way. I'm like, I'll find out from my partner, uh, you know, what those answers are for you. But I'm confident we can get this done. And
Hmm.
people will trust you and believe you, right? Um, so it's kind of like politicians and stuff like that. It's just like anything, right? You put
Hmm.
your trust in them. You're like, you know what? I trust this person. I think they're trustworthy, and I'm gonna bet on them. And like I would trust you to do. I mean, we're trying to do a deal here now,
Yeah.
and because when I talked to you the first time, I heard the confidence in your voice, Carlos Amezcua, and everyone calls you Amezcua, right?
Amezcua. Yeah.
But it's Amezcua.
Yeah.
Um, and by the way, send me that deal you mentioned that your partner has.
Oh
If
yeah.
I mean, if I mean, we could do all that decluttering for them.
Hmm.
We'll offer a little bit less, and if they're fine with the offer, then we could cash, quick close,
Hmm.
and just
I,
handle
I
all
would.
that stuff.
The only thing I would say about that one is the seller's a little bit unrealistic on the price that he wants. So.
Yeah, that's a
Hmm.
common, that's a common thing. that's a common thing that I want to mention too, is that especially, our market, by the way, folks, we're in Southern California. Well, I'm in Mexico, but I invest in Southern California as well as 14 other states, but we're speaking specifically about Southern California.
Mm-hmm.
Soon will be national, like in all 50 states. And so, but for Southern California, because I study the market, there's
Mm-hmm.
like 57 different markets in the country, but more or less. But like, uh, and so it's not all even. The
Mm-hmm.
Northeast is banging, man. Boston over there, New England, they're banging. They're
That's
like,
what I heard.
yeah, right, right.
Mm-hmm.
And not so much in Texas and Florida. They're correcting. They're going down. Prices are going down. They went up. I've heard always that they're known for going up and quickly and then coming down quickly. And
Yeah.
we are kind of more like the Titanic in Southern California. And in general, real estate's like the Titanic, anyways, takes a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But generally speaking, but other markets still can be faster, slower. Ours is, it may take a while longer, but I think my mentor, Matt, who's Matt Larson, by the way, who's done 4,000 plus deals, multimillionaire, owns 9 different businesses, respect, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not worthy. Matt, love you. Shout out to Matt Larson. And my saying is, my motto is WWMD, what would Matt do? I got to put that on my wall back here, brother. And so
Mm-hmm.
I believe we'll have value corrections in Southern California eventually. Everybody say, "Oh, that'll never happen."
Mm-hmm.
They said the same thing up to the. I remember I was doing mortgages. I was doing mortgages up until '05. So and then I remember my buddy who's a broker in San Diego, and he does deals, respect. I remember uh shout out to Breck Shock. I'm gonna call you out, brother. No, the I remember when oh yeah, it's just gonna keep going up. He got it wrong back then, but I mean I got it wrong on many things too. Breck, I love you, brother. I've gotten it wrong on many other things too, I mean, who gets it right all the
Mm-hmm.
time?
Yeah.
So and back then, it's so funny. I was a guppy, man. I didn't even know, really that anything, hardly.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, I didn't understand so many things. And but even I was like, I don't see how nobody can afford anything. How can this keep going up? I see it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't understand it. And sure enough, and he lost his place. My 2 other buddies who bought places, and I felt up, man, trust your gut. I
Mm-hmm.
trust, your gut is like everything you've learned and everything you've heard and your wisdom and like judgment, like your soul, everything. That's your gut. And back then, I was just like, oh, I felt danger. Like I felt alarm bells go off when they told me they were gonna buy condos in '05, '06.
Mm-hmm.
No, no, they bought them in '06. I was like, no, man, is that a good idea? But I wish I could have, man, I should have known more to, they lost those beautiful condos,
Mm-hmm.
foreclosure, I think they short sold one of them. Well, I think maybe no, I think my buddy short sold the other one too, but they ruined. Anyways,
Yeah.
but here we are again. It remind echoes. I have echoes of '08. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
it's always going to go up until it doesn't.
Yeah.
Until it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
go up. So something's got to break. Something's got to give because rates are high now. Rates are
Yeah.
high again. They've been going up.
Mm-hmm.
They've been going up. And as you know, right? And values are super high.
Yeah.
Mortgage since the 3 years ago, 3 years ago, mortgages are like triple. The payment has tripled,
Mm-hmm.
if not quadrupled, depending on your credit. The
Yeah.
monthly payments to buy a home, quadrupled.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's like something's got to give, so price correction, I think will happen.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I mean, right now we're just, current market conditions, we're buying, we're buying, we're buying, we're buying. I think eventually we'll have, I think next year, probably later this year, next year. I mean, we'll see, the tariffs, everything's like,
Yeah.
the tariffs are on pause. They're on
Mm-hmm.
pause, so all these things affect, man. All
Oh,
these, like,
100%.
I mean, you could have a black swan event. God forbid you have a war with Iran, or
Mm-hmm.
you just need a few things to happen, and things change. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but I'm an eternal optimist. I think it's always a great time to buy, but just buy right. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you know, the old saying, money's made when you buy real estate. And man, I mean, I sometimes get too optimistic, and I've offered too much on
Yeah.
properties. I mean, we don't make money on those, or break even or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to always restrain.
Yes.
So, as a buyer, as a continual buyer, like we buy. I was telling you, we with me and my partners, we're like 20 deals a month, more or less, in SoCal, all over SoCal. And these are all fixers always. They're
Mm-hmm.
usually need work. So we always try to make sure that we're buying deep enough. But we don't buy too deep, as you can see
Mm-hmm.
from our offers. We're not crazy. We're not super low, low ballers, right? Like other people.
Yeah. But
So
you guys are not always like super high on offers. Like
no,
I'm
no,
seeing I'm seeing a lot of these investors that are taking the chance of saying, "Oh, I'm gonna buy for this much," but it doesn't really cost like considering all your costs, the realtor fees, if you're gonna, post it, uh, they they overpay for the house in some way. And it's
yeah,
just like to me,
yeah,
I'm just like why are you overpaying for this? Like there's no reason to go over this number. Because
yeah,
once you go over this number, what are you gonna have? Like probably like maybe 5,000 you're gonna make of in return, or possibly you're gonna be in the red.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of investors. I know some that are out of business. Um, Hell, I mean, I almost went out of business. Like it was close. It
Hmm.
became close, but I have developed, thank God, through Matt and others. Dean Graziosi is another mentor of mine. Dean Graziosi. Have you
Hmm.
heard of Dean Graziosi?
I think I have.
Yeah, he's
I have. I
Tony
think.
Tony Robbins' partner,
Yes.
and he wasn't when I met him. He wasn't, but I've been in his masterminds and stuff like that. But I developed. He helped me develop a quick rebound muscle, like a quick recovery. I remember losing my first deal, and I got devastated,
Hmm.
messing up on my first deal, and I was devastated. And I thought I was done. I had like suicidal thoughts, and it was
Yeah.
rough, man. It was, and then other deals, a few other deals after that one too. But and losing money, and I just felt, and not just me losing money, but a partner losing his money too. And I was just like,
Hmm.
if it's just me, then I mean it's horrible enough, but for somebody else, you feel
Yeah.
responsible, and it can devastate you. The feeling of you. Have you heard this? The uh uh consequences of loss, of what you feel at a loss, is like it's like several times more. I forget, I think it might be 10 times more. The horrible feeling of loss um is like 10 times more than what you feel like when you gain something, or make
Yeah.
something, when you but the like it's I forget, like on the chart, it's like, you feel a massive boost, and it
Hmm.
lifts you up. But the loss, it's like, oh man, it's to the depths. And
Yeah.
some people never recover from that. I know
Hmm.
people. I know a tough Marine that fought in Iraq. We were doing a deal together and fell apart at the last minute. The seller was crazy. I should have known not to go into escrow with this whack job. I mean, she was mentally
Hmm.
ill, and
Mm.
she pulled out on the last day, and it crushed him. After
Mm-hmm.
we had worked really hard on it, got movers to move her out, spent money. I was still young in my career, and he was done. He was done. I never heard from him ever again after that. And
Mm,
so people get crushed. It's not
yeah.
easy. This is not easy, to do for sure. But uh, but yes, as long as you buy it right, you can save yourself. You can save yourself. As long as you buy a property right, you have to offer. That's definitely a lesson I've learned, especially lately, because I've been, just recently had a deal, and you know, I just kind of got a little carried away and falling in love with the house instead of the numbers.
Mm,
And I mean, we're emotional beings that happen to think.
yeah.
It's the logic is not, we go off of emotion. I have learned, people won't remember what you say, but they'll remember how you made them feel. And
Mm,
and so oh, I'm getting messaged here for for I think Chris. Let me see. I think he's there with your partner.
sending you
Chris,
pictures.
Chris. I just walked it. We are good at our original offer. Okay. Can we keep the listing? Yeah, we can keep it off the market, right?
Um, Not too sure because I think they're about to go live.
Oh
But
no.
like I said, I will talk to him too.
No, no. Must be off market. Hmm. Hold on, I
Yeah.
got a just one second. I got a little sneezing I'm gonna do.
Hmm.
Okay. I was dying. I was dying over here. Um yeah, brother, we're good to go to good to go our original offer. Let's do this.
Okay.
Let's get this. People, this is real time investing, buying, and with Carlos Amezcua, and who brought us a pocket listing in North Hills. And my partner Chris just walked it. And you too can do this. Just if I can do this, you can do this. I always say a baboon with half a brain and one eye can do this if I can do this because
Hmm.
I don't even drive. I can't even drive, because of my vision. And
Hmm.
when I was back in San Diego, I didn't drive. I didn't go see properties hardly. I had, I had an assistant go see them, or I just have the agent. I just be like, hey, be
Hmm.
my eyes and ears. I can't be there necessarily. It's just too difficult for me to walk houses anymore.
Hmm.
It would just drain me, man. Like it took all my energy. I'd be dead. I couldn't do anything else that day. I'd have to
Oh,
just go
okay.
home and just sit there and veg and watch YouTube podcast videos on YouTube. I
Hmm.
That's what I do is I watch a lot of podcasts, self-help,
Oh,
improvement,
that's good.
mindset, techniques, But
Hmm.
yeah, man, we're good to go on this one. Let's get into escrow and if you can send us oh, you already sent the purchase agreement to Billy, right? To
Yes.
sign?
Yeah, they have it.
Okay, I mean
They have.
To Jeremy.
Hmm.
Um
Gonna send you another one
awesome.
for the other house that I was telling you about. They just told us to write it. So
I can get you in. We have four in escrow right now
nice.
for SoCal. And yeah, we want to I mean my goal really is what we do like 20 a month. I want to double it. Is on us
Mm,
do 40 a month in SoCal. And we can buy all the way from we buy all the way from Magic Mountain to the border all the
hmm.
way over to Apple Valley, Cherry Valley, Beaumont, Victorville, you name it. And in between, but not really so much in Palm Springs. Palm
Hmm.
Springs and Desert Hot Springs, we don't buy there. That's like the only place we really don't buy. It's just
Yeah.
it's overrated, folks. It's the desert. Give me a break. There's nothing out there, and it's
That's
just it's
the only
just
thing.
it's
Yeah, the only thing are
overvalued.
the festivals.
What's
The
that?
only
Yeah,
thing.
well. yeah. I mean, Coachella, I've never been to
Hmm.
Coachella, but man, it'd be
Me
so.
neither.
I got to go with assistance and like I got to have an RV there and
Hmm.
oxygen. No, I don't know. I gotta like, I gotta like an
It
IV.
gets hot. It gets really
Yeah,
hot.
man.
So you're gonna need IV. You're gonna need a lot of IV, I would say,
I gotta
because
make
it's
another $1 million
general.
before I do that. It's because it's gonna be like Burning Man, basically.
Oh yeah,
I
a
gotta.
lot of yeah, a lot of cream that you need to put on. Sunscreen, all that.
Wait, that sounds like a Diddy party, like a freak off with all
Oh
the
God, no.
with all the baby oil.
Oh, I don't think you're any baby oil though.
No, we don't have any freak offs, folks. We don't.
Um,
We just we don't have any of that. But we like to have a good time. We love to dance. I love to dance. I love to sing. I love to dance. I that is in my DNA.
yeah.
My family are musicians on my dad's side.
Oh.
Accomplished musicians.
Hmm.
My dad broke that legacy. He, never I never saw him play instruments.
Mm.
Supposedly he played instruments. I never freaking saw. I saw a picture of him like in front of a marimba, but
Mm.
or a xylophone for you Anglos out there. And
Hmm.
but my cousins were accomplished musicians. I mean, they are accomplished
Hmm.
musicians, and so I always admired them. I was always in love with my cousin Ruby, so beautiful, talented.
Hmm.
And I wanted to just be them. I mean, I wanted to be able to sing, and now I am singing, folks. I am living my dream. And you can too. You just got to come out of your shell. You just got to do what makes you afraid every day. I love what Dan Pena, you know who Dan Pena is, the billionaire?
No.
He's the
No,
billion,
I
they
don't
call
think.
him the $1 billion man or the $1 trillion
Mhm.
man. Um, he's he's a trip. You should YouTube him. He'll make you laugh. He's
Okay.
really like he's hard.
What
He's
what
hard
was
on
the name?
people. Dan Pena and the $1 trillion man. I just learned from him because he said I went on his website QLA Quantum Leap Advantage and I downloaded the ebook How to Make Your First 100 million, and I applied to go to the castle for a week. He's got this seminar for a week in Scotland, cost 37
Mm.
grand.
Oh wow.
And I got accepted. I'm gonna go. I don't know if I'll be able to go to this one next month. I didn't realize it was so soon. If
Hmm.
not, I'll go to the one next year. But I mean it's like boot camp for business. And he shows you
Mm.
how to become a billionaire and how to basically buy companies and then exit them. Yeah.
Mm.
And big opportunity in that, man. I mean, there's 30 million, he was saying, 30 million business owners in the States that are boomers,
Hmm.
that massive wealth transfer of wealth. They want to sell their business. And they'll sell it seller financed, enough of them, some of
Mm.
them.
Yeah.
It's just finding those he was saying, you're 1,400 calls away from that kind of marketing to those business owners. And knowing how to structure it, of course. You're 1,400 calls away from becoming a multimillionaire at least, and
Hmm.
getting a company like that and improving it and then exiting it and making a good payday. So that's like one of my goals. And but I'm growing 20 pockets nationally and then internationally in Latin America as well.
Hmm.
I'm a buyer here in Mexico. I own a couple properties, but I'm looking to expand and go buy in Cancun and Playa del Carmen and then the rest of Latin America. But just to share a little bit about myself. But yeah, man, life is good and it is what we make it, you
Hmm.
know. And I love that you're an agent, man. And I love agents. I love working with agents. And I'm not licensed,
Hmm.
nor do I ever plan on getting a license. It's not my interest.
Hmm.
Um, but agents, I have a lot of respect for agents because I know I think it's a bitch, man, to go get your license and the ongoing education and I have respect. It's a great agent is worth their weight in gold. Is what I say
Yes.
always. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I don't have another job other than this.
that's
So,
awesome, dude.
yeah,
Well,
I did.
except for DJing. I mean, for
Uh,
managing and teaching.
yeah, but it's I took a year off last
It's not
year
your day job,
completely. No, it's my night job, but I took a
right?
year off last year to just completely concentrate on real estate
Good
because
job.
it was needed. But once this year kind of came through, because I DJ in Reno, that's like my
Really?
main gig, and like towards the beginning of the year. It's a festival. It's called the Reno Latin Jazz Festival.
Oh,
I DJ there. I'm like already settled with that festival, and yeah, once I just finished playing, I was like, I miss it. I miss it, and I just started talking to all the promoters that I know, that I still have connections with, and literally San Diego has been the one that has hired me the most out
really?
here. Like I already have like kind of like already I DJ once a month in Sevilla's out here in downtown.
Hmm.
So that's where I was yesterday. So now in June I'm gonna be back, and then July I'm gonna be back again. They already
Really?
told me. Yeah, they already told me it's like, hey, here's the dates. Yeah, so
Downtown
probably
San
in
Diego?
June, downtown San Diego. Yeah,
Oh, no way. Where at in downtown? I lived downtown for 25 years.
yeah. So it's the Sevilla's nightclub that's there,
Oh,
within the restaurant.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
dude. I've been going to Sevilla's for shit. I've been going to Sevilla for 30 years, dude.
dude. Oh my God, I always wanted to play there, and then when I first played there, I was like, this is cool. I want to be playing here at least
Yeah.
once a month, and now I'm playing once a month.
Yeah.
So, and I
Yeah.
went to for the first time to Petco Park,
Oh,
and
Petco's amazing, man.
yeah, I went to Petco Park because they're like, oh, it has the best food. So I went there
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, this is really good. Like they have really
Yeah.
good food, And then me being a Dodger fan, I was just like, going when every time the Padres would score, I'll be like, yay. But
Yeah.
my buddies and I are coming when the Dodgers play here. So either maybe next
Nice.
month, I think it's next month, or we're doing August when they're here. So
Nice.
we're gonna be back.
I grew up a Dodgers fan. Yeah, maybe I don't know if I'll be back in July, but I'll be back eventually because I love
Hmm.
San Diego. I love it. It's my favorite place, city that I've ever lived in all the places I have in North
Hmm.
America. And yeah, it's kind of like I don't know, was I telling this to somebody? I was saying how it isn't San Diego, it's kind of like a small town feel or a medium-sized town feel.
Hmm.
But it's a big city and people are
Yeah.
friendly and but downtown, man, is other than the homeless, of course,
Yeah.
which is like ridiculous, frankly. But like, who puts a homeless shelter next to the baseball stadium? But Todd
Hmm.
Gloria is an abject failure and needs to be fired. Needs to be. He's the mayor of San Diego.
Hmm.
Him and the entire city council needs to be voted out, and we need all new leaders. San Diego, wake up! Everybody, register to vote and get new people. And I mean, for all of California, frankly, LA too, I think.
Yeah.
And San Francisco, forget about it. But like, we need a massive revolution next year. Next year is major elections, people. Get out and
Yes.
vote. And
Yes.
first of all, register. But I love downtown San Diego. It's still, even with all that crap, it's like it's a special place, and it could be even more
Hmm.
special. I see the potential because it's just so visually beautiful, right? Just
Hmm.
like the colors, the sun, the light. I mean, it's cold, it's cold in San Diego downtown, and but I like it that way better than super
Yeah.
hot. I'm used to it.
Hmm.
The weather here sucks, frankly, right now. It's a rainy season. So it's cold, it's hot, it's like
Hmm.
blistering hot in the day. We got a heat wave coming. I mean, like a heat wave.
Yeah.
Like, fuck. People have no idea. And it's like, oh my God, I miss SoCal so much. And all of SoCal's weather is fantastic, but especially I think San Diego. But it's
Hmm.
green because it's green. You see
Yeah.
fucking green in San Diego. You know, other places, it's just like endless city. It's depressing, you
Hmm.
know? But I mean, it's still beautiful, but you know, LA is a collection of neighborhoods, you know, so
Yeah.
it's so big, you know, but I do love San Diego because like it's kind of more intimate. It's just, you
Hmm.
know, it's you can breathe, you know, there's not as much smog, not as much traffic. Not well, it's not as many, you know, we only have a million, what, 1.5 million people, I think, in the county, more or less, if that even in the county,
Yeah.
you
In the
know,
county.
and it's, you know, a lot of new neighborhoods, a lot of new construction, beautiful, you know, the stadium,
Hmm.
you said it. Did you have a dog? Did you have a hot dog or what did you have?
No, I had
Tacos?
we had a pizza.
Oh yeah.
We had the Dad's burger.
Oh, that's so fuck. It's so delicious. I miss Hodad's.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Hodad's
did
is
Hodad.
delish.
Yeah, and then we
Delish.
had like a frozen drink, a margarita, but it was like mango ñada, and one was like fruit punch.
Oh
And
my
then we went to
God.
the tiki bar that they had there, and we had like this I forgot what it's called, but it's a alcoholic drink, and we just had that, and we were set.
It's an
We were like,
orgy in your
cool.
mouth. I
Yeah, it
love
was
it.
good.
I lived, and it breaks my heart to say I lived, you know? I wish I had never even left, frankly, but I'll be back. But like I lived in mostly in the Marina Quarter, which
Mm,
is over by the convention center, kind of.
mm-hmm.
It's over not hugging the it's like crossing Harbor Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
Um like where those two brown towers are, those
Yes.
condos, like
Yes.
over that section by the Children's Museum. I lived
Mm-hmm.
over there. Oh, well, right in back of used to be Horton Plaza. And
Mm-hmm.
which is just sitting there, Horton Plaza. I think it's even I don't know, I haven't been there in 6 months now, but 6 months ago it was just still sitting there for years and they haven't done anything to it. I mean, they did the one building on they did some ugly looking office building too, like on the edge. What the hell they're thinking? They replaced Nordstrom's, and Nordstrom's was pretty. They had a pretty little capilla,
Mm-hmm.
a little how do you say capilla? A little chapel.
Travel.
It was beautiful. It was nice and charming. And
Mm.
you know, right across the street from Ralph's.
Mm-hmm.
I was right across the street from Ralph's in Market Street Square.
Mm.
For
Okay.
17 years, I had an apartment there. And and I loved it, man. Everything's flat and walkable. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, but man, I think it's still great, but I think it'll come back. It'll
Mm-hmm.
definitely come back. Um, somebody gets in office, they could be such a hero. I wish I were governor. I would
Mm-hmm.
declare, you know what I would do? You know, I'll tell you what I would do. I would declare a homeless state of emergency. I would call out the National Guard and I'd ask for federal help as well. And
Mm-hmm.
mandatory, I would make it mandatory. Everyone has to go to um, these triage centers that the National Guard will set up and build.
Mm-hmm.
Their Corps of Engineers, or if not, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and these temporary places, and they
Mm-hmm.
have to go there, and they're not allowed to sleep on the streets anymore, and they'll have food, they'll have housing, they'll have medical help. The ones that are absolutely, you know, mentally ill need to go to mental hospitals, and we don't have enough. Start building some
Mm-hmm.
triage centers, and
Yeah.
they're, you know, at gunpoint you have to go. It's not make it, you know, because we allow. It's just ridiculous, you know, that it's gotten so bad that you know it's lawlessness. It's lawless, and people are afraid everywhere. You have
Mm-hmm.
killers walking the streets because they've let them out of prisons,
Mm-hmm.
murderers, rapists. You know, you have violent criminals walking
Mm-hmm.
the streets. You know, doing drugs. They give them free drugs. They don't bother them. They let them just, you know, commit crimes. I've been kind of assaulted a few times in downtown
Mm-hmm.
San Diego. You don't know this about me, but I use a white cane to get around with a red tip.
Mm-hmm.
I use a white cane, and I've been a target sometimes. But I'm a
Yeah.
tall guy and I'm aggressive. So I don't. Once they try to do something with me, I'm like, I'm gonna, yeah,
We're gonna tassel.
I'm gonna mess you up, dude. You better
Mm-hmm.
back off. And they back off. But
Yeah.
um, but other people aren't so lucky, especially with women, older people.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a failure. This is our leaders have failed us and are failing us, and their responsibility to protect us. And it's absolutely stupid and unconscionable, and it, it ruins tourism. It ruins, I mean, you have people just outside of businesses and vagrants, just
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, completely just doing there's no restrooms, and what do? They just do it right there. So I'm
Yeah.
telling you, if I were governor, I would do that. It's not that hard of a fix. It can be done. You just have to have the will to do it. Have somebody that's strong and a
Mm-hmm.
leader, because Newsom is no damn leader. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
and neither is Todd Gloria. I call him Toad, Toad Gloria. And
Mm-hmm.
a little weasel. Even his weaselly little eyes. I can't just the beady little eyes. I just like detest him, frankly. But anyways, I I on this show we talk about everything, Carlos.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
we're
I
we're
mean,
talking about everything.
I would say like when the wildfires happened in LA, I was really really like seeing like, all right, cool, the mayor's gonna do something, and Mayor Bass, and I was like, wow, okay, so you're taking this the way you are right now. Are you kidding me? When we need help, and it's just like, okay, this is we thought you were gonna do a good job, do better than the previous mayor that failed us too,
Man, oh man.
um, it's
Unbelievable.
just like instead of saying like, hey, I'm gonna cut my trip short to come help the people from Los Angeles, like, no, it's okay, they'll be okay. Like
Man,
we were not okay.
I didn't even yeah, I didn't know anything about her, being
Mm-hmm.
being from San Diego, and then I found out that she was a communist. She loves Che Guevara, and she went to Cuba I don't know how many times. Cuba,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like, I mean, don't get me wrong, uh Mexican, and I'm Mexican citizen too. I love Cuba, like we love the Cubans. We have a lot of Cuban
Mm-hmm.
doctors here that have helped, and they have actually a great medical system. I mean, it would be great. I shouldn't say great. I mean, they have great doctors. They do have great medicine. The system's
Mm-hmm.
fucked up, but and they're starving over there. They're like
Yeah.
their system is not good. Their
Mm-hmm.
communist system doesn't work, has never worked, will never work. And she's a communist. She's been to
Yeah.
Cuba so many times. So, and I think those houses that burnt down, I think have they cleared out those lots? Have they even cleared them yet?
Yeah. They actually they're selling a lot of lots in Altadena. I've been seeing a lot of them going up for sale. Um, but a lot of like even one of our leaders in the Rise group, his house was in Altadena. It was part of the Altadena fires and it burned down.
Hmm.
Um, but it needs to clear. I think it was like phase two, I believe, in order to really sell. Because if it's only phase one cleared, it basically the buyer needs to take care of phase two, and it's just like you're just wasting more money at the end of the day. So you gotta let the insurance, and then plus the insurances. Oh my God, insurances that left, and then now they're
Yep.
asking for like first they asked for a 10%, which was granted increase on everybody's
Hmm.
insurance. Now they're asking for like a 30%,
Yeah, I heard. Yeah. Yeah.
and it was just like wow.
They got to buy the balls, the insurance companies.
Mm-hmm.
They yeah, man. It's so tragic, California. It's tragic what's happened, you know. Like I
Hmm.
remember California being well run, but you know, this has been 30 years, especially 20 years. It's gone to hell. It's like the past
Hmm.
20 years. And we have one party rule. You know, when there's no competition,
Yeah.
you know, the lack of competition breeds corruption and inefficiency. And we only have a one party rule. Uh, you know what party, folks, is in charge. It wouldn't matter if it's the Republican Party or the
Hmm.
Libertarian Party or whatever the hell. You know, it's just it happens to be the Democrat Party. So I just have I have no respect for these people, these toads. I just like, you know, they make it so difficult. I've been doing business here in California for, like I told you, well, 20 years, you know, in real estate,
Hmm.
mortgages and then real estate. And let me tell you something, man. When you know, it takes 9 months to get a damn window approved in your house just to put a window in. 9 months, you know, and this is just, you know, a light example of forget about these houses burned down. Now people are, you know, these insurance companies are only going to insure up to like I forget what the name is, but of the kind of insurance, it's like the minimum insurance, and it's only
Hmm.
what like 4 million. So these people in Malibu, they had $10 million homes. They're
Yeah.
they're screwed. They got to come up with the other 6 million. They don't have it,
Yeah.
you know. They you know they don't. So just like the fire down in where's that at over in Palisades, right? Is it Palisades?
Yeah. It
Pacific
started in
Palisades,
Yeah, Pacific
right?
Palace. And you know the crazy thing, and everybody was just talking about it, it's like even our people in real estate, right? They're like, all these fires are where these expensive homes are. You know,
Yeah.
Pacific Palisades, Malibu,
Hmm.
Altadena. And I even went into what's it called, the Hollywood Hills,
Hollywood Hills. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like I was surprised they didn't go to Beverly Hills, but it was
Yeah.
mainly more like houses like that, and it was just like
Yeah.
that's crazy, like
Mm.
how it didn't trickle down towards the middle class, so to speak, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Woodsy, kind of woodsy areas where there's
Yeah, Woodsy.
brush and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right. And those are usually the more affluent areas. And you know, I mean, man, thankfully yeah, it didn't get to like urban city center.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, once you started to see if you started to see something like that, then that's when probably change would really happen because enough people would be pissed off, the middle class and, you know, hell, middle class. There's no middle class hardly. It's
Hmm.
just poor and rich. And so like,
Hmm.
and so, you know, we'll just call it, you know, the poor, regular folks, would rise up, you know. I mean, right now they're just victims of zombies walking the street and,
Hmm.
poor management, um, uh, you know, wasting billions and billions and billions that are unaccounted for, you know, in
Yeah.
the state government. And if I were governor, I would suspend the state income tax. I would lay
Hmm.
off half, if not more, of state workers. They're unnecessary.
Hmm.
I would suspend CEQA. I would suspend, you know CEQA, right? The
Sequel.
this is the law they passed, an agency that regulates building, and you know they hold that's the bureaucracy that holds
Hmm.
back building, and then of course the Coastal Commission.
Hmm.
I would completely suspend those, and I would start to allow building and massive building, a building boom, because the reason things are so expensive is we have such little supply,
Yeah.
and it's supply and demand. You know, and people
Hmm.
don't seem to, they always want to attack supply, demand, and they light it on fire with all these gimmicks and all these like low interest rates, and instead of addressing the cause, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So I would do that, you know, be pro business, pro growth. These eviction laws, these tenancy laws, so ridiculous. Rent control. It's never worked, will never work.
Yeah.
It causes slumlords, causes
Hmm.
slums to be created. And man, it's just heartbreaking for California, you know, like I'm worried for California because like unless we have a change, man, it's going to get worse. You mentioned the insurance.
Yeah.
Um, we only so many carriers have left the state. They make it
Hmm.
impossible to, you know, when the state did not manage, you know, and who's the head of the state? Newsom. Of course, he doesn't
Hmm.
accept responsibility. And
Yep.
Bass, horrible leaders, incompetent, just lazy,
Hmm.
didn't manage, didn't even have, you know, they sent their great equipment over to Ukraine, you know, they DEI policies, putting incompetent people in charge, not focusing on fire prevention, and all these things, man, you know, and so we need a change. We really need a revolution in California. I do want to come back, and I want to. One of my goals is to start a voter registration drive. Got to get people registered, man. I mean, I bleed for for California, and
Yeah.
it's such a beautiful state. So, but we're falling behind, man. I mean, LA, and I hate to say this, but LA could be the next Detroit, just like San Francisco.
Hmm.
You said how recently have you gone to San Francisco?
I went last year. I think
Tell
it
me,
was I think it was I think March or April, I believe.
tell me about
And
it.
I mean, it it doesn't look as bad as it as I thought it was going to be
Okay.
because I mean there's a lot of before I think it was more during the COVID all the way to like 2022. I would say maybe 2023 a little bit there, where
Hmm.
there were a lot of crimes happening. It was getting very, very, very bad. Even down here in San Diego, or in LA, especially downtown LA, it was
Yeah,
getting really, really bad.
I've
And
heard.
where you couldn't even walk the streets because a lot of people say, you know what, if you have nothing to do in downtown LA, don't even go. If you had nothing to do in downtown San Francisco, don't even go. Like
Damn,
you can't even do it by yourself anymore back then.
that's
Now I
crazy,
think it's
man.
a little bit more easier to go by yourself and do your regular things. But yeah, back then it was just like you have to go in groups. Like you have to call your buddies, be like, hey, are you going to downtown? When are you going to downtown? Because I need to go to downtown. You know, and it's like you just have to create groups, like group chats, and be like,
Really?
hey, who's going to downtown? Yeah, because
Really?
it was like that, and it was just like we have that building that got tagged in downtown LA that was supposed to be for the homeless, and
Oh,
they never finished building it. It's literally
mm,
on studs. It's
really?
unfinished. And
Really?
it got yeah, I think it was last year. It got tagged like crazy. It got tagged, and it was just like I was like, wow. I feel like the only mayor that actually did some type of good was Mayor Villaraigosa.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
I thought I
and
heard
that
that
I
about too. Yeah, he was kind of a good mayor. I thought I heard.
yeah, it actually my
Yeah.
mom actually knew him personally
Yeah?
when she used to work at it's called La Placita, and him and his mom will always come, and he will be kind of like a little rowdy, she
Oh,
said,
yeah?
and but yeah, but she has met him before. When she used to work, she met him when he was small, but
Oh,
yeah,
really?
yeah, he was like
And
yeah,
what
but
do you
yeah, I
mean?
think
He was like,
yeah,
you know,
he was I would say like a teen uh
uh,
before and when she met him and his mom and his parents too because they will come to the store because they used to live around the it was in Pacoima and he used to and you can tell that he's from Pacoima. You
oh,
can tell
yeah?
people where they're from sometimes.
Oh, really?
Especially if like you're in the valley. Like Pacoima has changed so much where before it was like you go to Pacoima was like the Compton of the valley.
Mm, yeah.
And
Yeah.
now has changed. It has it has gentrified. Even Compton has been gentrified. You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
it's starting to kind of push a little bit more out of there, but the gangs
Yeah.
still kind of don't let it happen.
Yeah. Right.
But
Right.
Pacoima has lost some of his gangs already, and they kind of been pushed out
Oh yeah.
to where reason, yeah, where I mean there's still the projects there in Pacoima,
Hmm.
and but it's been gentrified quite a bit. Like
Interesting.
before, you would not see, you know, people like white people, Asians, you know, you basically it was Latino dominated.
Yeah. Pacoima. Oh
Uh,
yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
Latino dominated. Like Van Nuys, same thing, but slowly but surely it's being gentrified little by little,
Interesting.
little by little. But it was just like that's why we had to move out. And then we moved out, moved to North Hills, and then it was just like that. So I always tell my clients that if you guys are okay with this type of pocket, then you're fine. Like the east side, so to speak, of the valley, you're good. You know, usually you get a little bit best deals there. They're not too pricey,
Hmm.
but in the pocket of the 118, the 405, and the 101, inside that little pocket,
Hmm.
that's where you can raise a family. It's the best way to raise a family, or you can even retire there. It just
Interesting.
depends. Hmm.
Folks, you
Yep.
heard it. Pacoima. Check out that pocket. Check out, and we're coming up on an hour, brother. This was fun. Well, not almost, but 10 minutes away. But um, I guess we're gonna wrap it. But this was fun. This is good.
Yeah.
We're gonna definitely snip this into snippets and stuff like that. I'll send you the whole recording though.
Yeah.
And how can people get a hold of you if they want to?
Well, you guys can get a hold of me by go. You can email me at C Amezcua Realty. So that's CAMEZ as in zebra, C as in Charlie, UA Realty at gmail.com. Or you guys can reach me on my Instagram at djamezcua.realty. Dot
What
realtor, sorry.
what is your Instagram again?
DJ Amezcua dot
DJ
realtor.
Amezcua. Ah,
Mm-hmm.
okay. All right. All right. We'll look
Yeah.
for you. We'll look for you, buddy. And here's my little grandbaby.
Hi.
Estás here en mi aquí, mija. Uno, dos, tres. Oh, she's so heavy. This is Marcelita. This is Carlos
Hola.
Amezcua. Trabajo con él. Es agente de bienes raíces, mi amor. Pero this is Marcela, Marcelita.
Marcela.
But I call her
Mm.
Maicenita.
Ah.
Maicenita. ¿Verdad? ¿Verdad, Maicen? Ah, perdón. Hola, Carlos.
Hola.
All right, guys. Tony Escobedo, 20 Pockets, signing off, and we will talk to you soon. Ciao, ciao.